Hello, my name is Kelly Robertson. I'm the Education Director at the Silicon Valley ISSA. I'd like to welcome you to the CISSP Study Review Series that we call GRIT. That's for Governance, Resilience, Integrity, and Teamwork. To explain how it works and how the flow works, I wanted to use an operating system metaphor because it's kind of fun and it kind of makes sense. We have clock cycles, we have volatile memory, we have writing it to disk, things like that. So just track with me here. It's kind of fun. We're going to do 21 sessions. It's one chapter apiece. We break it into 2 nights a week, 4 to 6 p.m., Mondays and Thursdays. There's one Zoom link for the entire series. You can either use this link or you can take a picture of this QR code, whichever easy. We'll have one holiday that we don't have a study session, and that's Labor Day. If you miss one, you can make it up because you're going to get the recordings the next day. We encourage you to attend the live sessions. They're much more lively. There's a chat that goes on. There's a lot of texture and nuance to this, and we want you to get the most out of it. So I wouldn't rely on the recordings really to grok all this data. There's a lot to this. Buckle up. This is going to be fun. All right, the clock cycle works like this. On Fridays, you go to your Slack channel and you'll see the presentation decks for the chapters of the next week. And you can kind of scan them in advance and kind of review what you're going to be looking for the next week. That way you hit the deck on Monday ready for the course. And we highly recommend this. You got the whole weekend to scan these. Then you're going to get the live lecture the next morning. You're going to get the recording from that, and you're going to get something called GRIT field guides. I'm going to tell you about that in a moment. And then you've got a couple of days to kind of let that cement and write that to disk. And then you can start preparing for the Thursday night lecture. You can read ahead in the book, of course, and you can read ahead in the presentation deck, which you've already got. So Friday morning, it's all going to refresh, and you're going to get the recording from Thursday. You're going to get 3 more GRIT field guides, and then you're going to get the decks for next week. So you've got the weekend to get prepared. And you're also going to get a few other things, which I'll talk about in a moment. So Fridays are pretty fun. Here's the calendar, Damon. So just for your reference point, you can see what days we're doing what. The GRIT field guides. Now, this is the difference between a study review session and a master class. The practitioner's cut here is based on a case study that I created for a fictitious company called Cascade Health Partners with 200,000 patients. And as you go through these, it's going to help give you perspective on actually how it works in real life. And they're absolutely yours to use. Please note that these are not public. In fact, I published a condensed version of these this year in a book called InfoSec Actualized. So we really want to maintain control of these. They're very expansive and they're very useful for you. We want you to use them, but please don't share them with people. If people really want to do this without doing the course, they can buy a copy of InfoSec Actualized if they like. So inside the field guides, let's unpack that a little bit. You're going to see an amber box that says you are responsible to know. And that's really what the study essentials are from the ISC squared. Then you're going to see practitioner tips. These are things that you're going to bring things into more pragmatic and practical context. Then you're going to see the running scenario, what happened inside Cascade Health Partners, what kinds of problems they faced or how they dealt with certain things. Then you're going to see things called thinks and links. So thinks are little boxes that we call out where we give you a little more perspective, or we demystify something, or we kind of unpack something for you. So think boxes are throughout the decks and throughout the GRIT field guides are very useful, and they'll oftentimes have links in them to outside references. And if you're perpetually curious, which I imagine you are, if you're undertaking this course, you must be a learn-it-all, then you will probably like to follow those links. So then there's a quick reference in the GRIT field guides, and that's really tracking with what you have to do to prepare to take the exam and become certified as a CISSP. So how do you write all this stuff to disk? If you've got all this volatile memory, you've got your life, and you've got work, and then you're taking this on. So how does it all kind of gel up? Well, we've had years of practice on this, and I would recommend you do this. You've got 2 days between lectures, and I would maximize that. So the way I would exploit that gap is to track with the body of knowledge, right? So skim the 3 field guides, go back to that amber box, the you are responsible to know box, kind of determine what you really need to study. You might even come up with some questions, and you can argue the case, like, why did they do it this way? Or why didn't they do it that way? This is really starting to sink in when you start questioning things, right? And then if you've got additional questions or something that deserves more of a comprehensive answer, let's just put it in the parking lot, because when it's answered to everybody, you're benefiting everybody. So don't be shy about asking questions. It's a good thing because everybody benefits. If you ask a question, you're probably asking a question that 5 or 10 other people wanted to ask, but they might be too shy. So keep doing it. And then the quick reference, that's just a really great thing for you to do to prepare to become a CISSP. So the G.R.I.T operating system is resupplies on Friday. You've got replays on Tuesdays and Fridays. You can get the recordings. They're MP4s generally, or they're Zoom links, so you can listen to them in your car when you're doing other things, when you're baking or whatever it takes for you to integrate it into your consciousness, right? The parking lot is these questions that we think deserve real answers instead of just off-the-cuff answers in the session. We will be facilitating those for you guys. The Armory is just the overall Slack channel, because you're going to have a lot of different things in your Slack channel that are helpful to you. We're going to have Did You Sees, which are things that they might be things that are happening in the news or events that are coming up. We'll have things called telltales, which are brown M&Ms, and we'll explain that, and other interesting things will happen. Now, about the 3rd week or so, and this is self-driven by you guys, people start assembling their study groups. They kind of figure out who they want to do a study group with because of time zones or experience or proximity or whatever, just affinity. You develop your own little fire teams, and you start little 5-person study groups or 7-person study groups. There's no limit on the size. And then keep it all in mind that all of this falls down to our Slack channel. That's the source of truth. That's where the field guides are, the recordings, the decks, everything like that. Thank you very much for your time today. We're really excited to be working with you. Let's get to know each other over the next 21 sessions. Thanks.